Do you notice what I've noticed over the past few months, in a sense that we're all split and divided now, ideologically as well as politically? How damaging is that going forward?
I think it's very damaging. We're not all going to agree on everything. We're human beings, for goodness sake. You know, I could talk to you and we can talk about the same subject and we can disagree on elements of that subject. And we have. You know, we've both given our opinions on certain things, you know, in private. And it doesn't make me want to attack you or you attack me. It just means, okay, well, they've got a different way of looking at it. Perhaps I need to adjust my thinking a little bit because maybe I'm not right. Maybe, you know, my perception needs to be tweaked a little bit. And you learn that from talking to other people. And you learn that from debate.
Yes.
You know, because nobody's always 100% right.
No.
And neither are they 100% wrong.
You both bring something to the table, and the point is supposed to be somewhere in the middle of what you've presented and what you've presented is the truth.
And I think that was the very first video that you did, interview you did with me at Telford. I think I made that comment there. You know, there's, you know, two sides, but no coming together anymore. And we understand that with the left and the right, but within our own movement, I find it quite unacceptable, and it makes me wonder whether what I do, little though it is actually worth the effort of putting my head above the parapet. You know, because if we can't all come together and work together to fight the real enemy, then do we really stand a chance of winning?
Because this is within camp. So if your camp is all over the place, then what kind of a fighting force are you going to be moving forward if you can't even agree on the fundamentals, really?
And I'm not being partisan because you're interviewing me. You know, I'm not blindly sort of saying that you're right in one thing and somebody else is wrong. I'm staying out of it. I came to see you because I thought that some of what I have to say is interesting to people and want to get a message out. Now, we should all be working on that principle and not, you know, snapping at the heels of each other. And I, you know, it's only been this past week or so that I've been seeing things on Facebook, and I think I'd already contacted Phil before I started seeing things on Facebook. You know, so it's not about taking sides. It's about being objective, listening to what people have got to say. Stop this hate, you know, that's going on, because there's enough of it coming from the people that we're trying to fight.
Are you serious? Why? Why? Why do you people hate it? I am so sick of this! Please stop it!
You know, we've got to stop doing it amongst ourselves.
It was like several months ago, Nanny, the left was our enemy.
And yeah.
That doesn't feel that is the case now. A certain scenario that I feel is very relevant on the day of Caesar's death in the courtyard. It literally feels that way now, that any of us could be that Caesar, but there are people that were once patting you on the back that are now have got a dagger in that same hand. And then you've got people in the background that are appearing from pillows within that courtyard that are ready to follow through.
The one thing that I find is that, and I try not to get involved, I did actually make one comment on Facebook to one person, and that comment basically was, please stop airing your grievances in public because it's not helping the overall cause. And I stand by that. You know, if you have issues with people, talk to them. You know, talk to each other. You know, you won't resolve anything unless you talk to each other. If at the end of it you don't agree, so you don't agree. But to be blazoning it all over social media,
Non-productive.
it just shows that the movement is not cohesive. You know, we all have different reasons for doing what we do. We all have different perceptions of what is wrong with the country, what needs putting right. Some people will take a more Islamic stance. Some people will take more of a government stance on, you know, where you direct your anger and your energy. But fighting each other is counterproductive.
Certainly not working.
Yeah.
And will you agree with me that this has been growing slowly compared to when you first come on the scene?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, and I don't like to say it because I support Tommy Robinson, but it's been since the drive with Tommy Robinson that all these little fractures have been occurring. And I do support Tommy Robinson. You know, I think he's a really brave man. I've done 3 poems now in tribute to him. I was proud to shake his hand, you know, but it's almost, and we do need that figurehead. We do need somebody to get behind because the frustration of the people is so huge now. We're looking for a way to direct it. Now he's stuck his head up and a lot of people have got behind him. But it can't be to the exclusion of all other solutions. You know, it's got to be just part of it. And you know, it's a question of, oh, if you don't support Tommy, then you're a wrong, and if you support Tommy, you're far right. And you know, somebody said to me at the last demonstration, you know, and this is somebody, you know, within our movement, you know, oh, you're far right. Well, I don't care where I am. You know, I speak for common sense. I don't care if that puts me anywhere on the spectrum. I don't care. It's irrelevant.
That spectrum is illusionary.
It's arse about face. You know, the stereotypes aren't there anymore. You know, everything is not what it purports to be. It's all different. I mean, I've never been a political animal. I don't understand this whole spectrum thing. I just see common sense. But what we have in this country now is the left and the right with nothing at all in the middle. And it's that middle voice that Tommy Robinson seems to have captured, because the people on the demonstrations are people like myself. You know, we see that there is something drastically wrong with this country. And we're not far right. We don't hate all immigrants. We don't hate all black people. Dare I say that? You know, am I allowed to say that?
I'm allowing you to say it, Nanny. You go for it.
Yeah, but you know, this is the thing. You know, we're guarding our words all the time, and we're not being allowed to sort of say what we want to say. But if that makes me far right, then they can call me far right. I don't care what they call me.
See, for me, it's not a colour thing at all.
It's not.
It's a light and dark. It's a good and evil.
See, what we have here is a situation. I've done a couple of articles on immigration, and we're told that we've always been multicultural. We haven't, not in the sense that they mean it. This is a fake utopia that they're trying to drive us towards. And the mass immigration started in 1948. And yes, it was black people that came. I'm allowed to say that because that's a fact. It was black people that came. Even at that time, our governments were lying to us. They told us we needed the labour, but we didn't. You know, there are quotes from politicians at that time that said, I don't know if we can find jobs for these people. You know, so... And yes, it wasn't easy at the start. You know, it did take the Brits quite a while to adjust to, you know, people that were unfamiliar to look at. But those people predominantly came and assimilated and mixed and have now become Brits, true Brits. You know,
and brought their little part of culture to Britain, which has made it a lovely melting pot in so many different ways, whether it be music, food, clothes.
Well, there is one of the articles that is on my Nanny Robinson page that I think you can hear that I did a little while ago about multiculturalism and the two types of multiculture that there are. And the first one is those that want to integrate. And on the whole, they have been welcomed. And I mean, you've only got to look at videos with myself, Phil, and Eddie is okay. You know, you got a range of the spectrum.
I think I'm looking at two leaders right here. I think I am.
You know,
I don't know about that.
you know,
Ebony and Ivory.
I actually think I've got my head down here. I'm just praying about it, brother. You know? Look,
Coffee and cream.
Coffee and cream.
That's cream.
Exactly.
That's
Loving it.
You see?
Well, it is, isn't it? All different.
You know, so can we all be racist? No, we can't.
It's a perception bender.
Yeah.
Now, for me to look at that image, for anyone to take away from that they're all far right, that shows how much intellectually, even they might be brilliant, bright, intelligent people, but how much your perception has been bended for you to look at that image and interpret that from that image. Because I don't know how you're getting that.
One of the videos that you did at the Mariah's March, that guy put his head in and said that he'd been called racist. You know, and we all laughed about it because he'd been called racist.
Yeah.
You know, it's nonsense. These labels are nonsense. You know, they don't mean anything at all. But the point I was making was that, you know, I've got a lot of neighbours. I've got a lot of Sikh people live around where I live. And they're lovely people. You know, have no problems. One of the ladies, one of my neighbours, you know, we get on really well together. You know, we help each other out, we do things. And she said to me a little while ago, I don't know what's happening to our country. And I agree with her. You know, but to hear it coming from, and she's been here probably 60 years, something like that. She came here as a child with her parents. But they have become part of Britain. They have adopted, yes, she still wears her clothes, but they've become part of Britain and they live by British values.
They respect the culture and values in this country.
But they also appreciate the fact that they have the freedom to practice their own beliefs. You know, so...
That is somebody who is truly appreciative
of the opportunities that they've been given.
Certainly.
What's happened as the government have moved on with their mass immigration programme is that it's a completely different ballgame now.
Well, they're almost telling them now they don't have to do that anymore.
Well, that's
you don't
right.
have to assimilate.
I mean, this is why the hate speech laws came in. Why are all the government documents in about 50 different languages now? You know, they're not encouraging these people to assimilate. Now, that must cost us millions in interpreters. Now, if we went to a foreign country, would we expect to see everything in English? I mean, I know English is the global language, but, you know, we wouldn't expect it. If I went to Spain and I had an official document to fill out, if I went to a doctor, you know, I wouldn't expect it to be in English. You know, I would expect to take it on myself.
You would have to bend, not the country bend on your behalf.
To go and do it, but our government have decided that, you know, we're not going to make it hard for these people not to learn English. And I mean, that's just a starting point. You know, that our government have given in on so many issues, and these new hate speech laws, I mean, dress it up any way you like, it's Sharia by the back door. You know, how come Islam is the only culture we're not allowed to criticise?
Well, it's a bifold problem then, because they're bringing him in, telling him you don't have to assimilate, you don't have to speak, and then we obviously get put out by that. We can see it going on, when in reality I know my next door neighbour, no matter what colour they are, if they're a knobhead, they're a knobhead. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, but we're living in this world now where if that knobhead happens to have dark skin, it becomes something totally different then.
The whole thing is changed.
You've dirtied the waters there just by that perception straight away. Now, we do know that people will play into that, and there is genuine racists that live in this country.
Yes, there are.
But there are genuine racists that are black as well. There are genuine racists that are Muslim. So as long as you're realistic with that, you can still work within this paradigm.
Racism towards whites is rampant.
Well, ask
But nothing-
Monroe Bergdorf.
The uncomfortable truth is that the white race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on Earth.
Nothing.
Bloody hell, do you ever see that video she done? It was like something out of Clockwork Orange, Carol. Come out, done this video that was aired on the BBC, and the BBC allowed it, and it was basically shouting at the population of England of how systemically racist you are as a white individual, how you've got to get over it, realise it's there. And it's when you listen to it, no matter what colour you are, you're thinking that is wrong. Particularly coming from the BBC, that we pay our licence fee. So the cultural Marxism again, you know,
Yeah.
where do you go with that? I can't agree with the way he come across with saying that. Of course there's issues with racism, there's always been issues,
There will always be issues with racism.
but let's
But
get it even.
what is happening now is because the balance is so heavily tipped in one direction, people that weren't racist are going to become racist because what's happening is unfair. You know, the bottom line is, you know, I'm not a white supremacist. You know, I believe in work hard, achieve what you can, and take the rewards. And if you don't do those things, then, you know, you're not entitled.